Good afternoon. Happy Friday. My name is Caitlin, Customer Success Manager here at SONAR, and welcome back to WithSONAR. This webinar is designed to help explore tools and use cases to enhance your overall SONAR experience. Last episode, we went over our new executive dashboard, which provides an instant, high-level view of the freight market all in one place. This week, I'm going to highlight our custom dashboards to show you how to customize your SONAR pages to fit within your network and needs. So, bear with me as always as I share my screen. All righty. So within SONAR, we have added a lot of pre-built dashboards to help find the data sets you need easily. But in addition to that, you also have the ability to build out completely custom dashboards that are more catered to your needs in your specific network. So today I'm going to highlight how to utilize these and talk through two of our most used widgets, which is our chart and our map widget. So you can access custom dashboards under the My Dashboards tab at the top of your screen. And once you click, you will see all of the dashboards that you've previously built or that have been shared with you. So you can share SONAR dashboards with anyone that has a SONAR Enterprise login. So if you hover over a custom page and you click these three dots, that will copy a link that you can then share with your team or other users. So that is one way you can share pages. Your account manager can also build out custom pages for you. We also have a dashboard wizard. So at the bottom of your custom page list, you will see that. This is going to give you more pre-built pages that are some popular custom pages we've built out on the customer success team previously. They are still going to be more nationally focused and not just your specific market, but definitely a great resource to have. What I'm going to go over today, though, is going to be under this Create Dashboard. So you will then choose a name. You can name the dashboard whatever you would like. You just cannot have the same name twice. So once you type that in, it will load a blank page for you. So you will then see the different layouts that we have available to choose from. So you can view a single data set if you want to look at two side by side or multiple to create more dashboard view, I guess. So you have all of these options to choose from, and you can also select or change this once you built it. So just because you're starting with one doesn't mean that's the only view you can have within this page. I am going to start off with a single view just to make it easier with the screen share, and then you will click to choose the widget that you would like to add. We have 8 different widgets for you to choose from. I'm going to start with probably our most popular, which is going to be the chart. You will then click select, and you can add up to 5 charts at a time, but I am just going to go with 1 to start. So you will prompt through, and then you will have a blank chart on your screen. So to add a data set to the chart, you're going to click on this inner symbol, and then you have a few different options. So you can do a lane search, you can go through the categories and see the different data sets that we have available, or you can type in the specific ticker code if you know what you're looking for. What I love about custom pages is the ability to drill the data sets down to your specific equipment type, length of haul, or markets you operate in. Whereas a lot of our pre-built dashboards are going to be more nationally focused so that they work for everyone. So this, you get to be really custom, which is great. Now, as I said, you can click through the categories, you can type in your code, or you can also, let's say you want to look at Atlanta. If you type in Atlanta in the search bar, it is going to show you the data sets we have around the Atlanta market specifically. So you can see market share, head haul, volume, and that gives you a good view for what's available. That's super easy to find. Now, you can take that a step further. So this is tender volume for Atlanta, but what if I just want to see dry van or reefer volume? Typically with our data sets, if you just add a V or an R to the beginning of the data set or to the end, then you can drill down to that specific equipment type and get a really granular view of the market that you're looking for. I'm going to type in the data set. which will show me van outbound tender volume for Atlanta specifically. So I'm able to just focus on dry van for the Atlanta market. That way I know it's super catered to my business if I'm only moving those van shipments, and I heavily specialize in the Atlanta market. Now, this is a really granular view, allowing you to see overall demand for Atlanta for dry van specifically, but you can also dive deeper into this data set. I'm going to turn off this. If you click on display, at the top we'll give you a few different axis styles. So if you go to relative, this will update this to a percentage. And what relative is measuring, it's going to be the percent change for the time period that you select. So this will default to a year, but you can update this to whatever time period that you were looking for. But overall, this will show you that van volume out of Atlanta is down 11% in the last year. So I feel like talking in percentages a lot of the time is going to translate better when you're talking about what's going on in the market. So this just allows you to get that percent change, educate yourself on the market, and report back to your customers or leadership to know what you're talking about when you feel any significant shifts with the volume that you're moving in Atlanta or how that's affected capacity. You have the data to back what you're feeling. Now, we also have a few different things that you can adjust within the display. So you will probably hear us talk a lot about seasonality view. So I will go back into display, go to an absolute axis, and then we have the seasonality right below that. You can go back up to 8 years. I am just going to do 2, so you can easily adjust that here. And then you can turn on your seasonality and see the year over year for volume out of Atlanta for dry van. So the shaded blue line will be that current year to date. This green is going to be 2024, and then pink is 2023. So this view allows you to easily see that volume is down compared to the last 2 years. So when you're talking to customers and wondering what happened to your Atlanta capacity or why you're not getting as much volume, you have the proof to back up why that fluctuation has occurred. And then you can bring that to leadership when they're like, okay, well, you used to run way more volume in the last few years. What's happened? You can see that overall from the dry van Atlanta market, that volume is down. So demand is down. You don't have as much opportunity for shipments out of this market. So overall, it just allows you to be more educated, back what you're feeling in the market, and get ahead of that. These data sets are updated on a daily basis. So as you see that volume increase or decrease, you can report that ahead of time. So you're not just waiting until you hear on the phone day of what's happening. Now you can also compare multiple data sets within one chart. So if I turn on or turn off seasonality here, close that out, we have a little compare at the top of the screen. So you can click this and then you can type in your other data sets. So if you wanted to see how lane level rates are trending with capacity, or if you wanted to see volume out of a different market compared to Atlanta. So let's say we want to look at dry van volume out of Nashville. You can easily add that comparison. And you can see here, so blue is going to be that dry van volume for Atlanta. Orange is going to be dry van volume for Nashville. Atlanta has significantly more volume moving than the Nashville market. So if you have a customer that you are talking with that moves both out of those markets, which is going to be more desirable to your network, Atlanta is a bigger network. So they tend to prefer that because they have more optionality. However, Nashville's not as competitive, or it's going to have more of a niche network. So you can use both to your advantage, but either way, it's good to have that education in your tool belt. Now, if you wanted to see how capacity is trending compared to volume levels, we can also look at rejections for dry van out of Atlanta and overlay this. Now, I will say when we are looking at volume, that is an index number and rejections are going to be a percentage. So it can cause your chart to look a little wonky. And to fix that, you would go to display again, and you're going to update that DAX axis to a dual. And this is going to put the data sets on opposite sides. So your primary data set, which in this case is going to be volume, will be on the right. And then that comparison will be on the left-hand side to measure the rejections for Atlanta. So you can see here if there's any correlations. Typically, we do see volume and rejections move together because if there's an increase in demand, they have more shipments to choose from and will reject freight more. Not always will they move together. We've seen that in the last few years post-COVID. That's not always the case, but both are going to be updated daily so you can see how they're trending, if they're correlated, and help get ahead of any shifts. Now, there is a lot more that you can do within our charts, but that is a really good foundation to start that allows you to get a little more granular for your network. Now, the next widget I want to go over, and to add to this page, you would just click the little plus at the top. And now I'm going to go over our maps. So again, you would select this. You can add up to 5 maps at a time if you choose, but I will just stick with 1. So our maps are going to be great because this allows you to view multiple markets at the same time to analyze overall market conditions, but see more than one market and not just look at it on a national level. We've also recently made some updates to our maps to make them easier to access and navigate. So you'll see at first glance here, you'll now see the markets listed without you having to hover over it. And then to adjust your data set or your preferences, it's easy to find those right at the top of your screen. So if you click on the drop down for preferences, we'll have the ones that you always want to default already selected, but you can also overlay weather or add a custom layer if you want to see specific DCs you operate in or just key markets for you that you want to keep an eye on. You can easily upload your custom layer and highlight that here. Now, if we go back to add our data set, you would click the select data drop down, and then you will have the options for the granularity that you want to view. So obviously, market level is going to be our most granular, and then you have a few ways that you can view that market breakdown. So you can see volatility in markets, or you can see how those spot rates are moving. Or if you prefer, we also have regions and state available as well if you tend to operate in those instead of a market level. Then to select the data set that you would like to view, you would click on the color index selection. You can prompt through the categories, or you can type in the ticker code if you know it and select it when it populates. I will then close out of that box so we have a better view. And then you're able to see rejections on the map and see all markets and how rejections are trending across the country, but for those specific markets as well. How the data set is measured will be at the bottom. So for this one specifically, the darker the blue, the more significant the rejections are. So real easy to see, darkest blue, the largest rejections. So you can see which ones are going to have those tighter capacity conditions easily just based off the color there. Now, once you've identified a market you want to target, or maybe you have a lot of freight out of Wichita or Hutchinson, and you want to dive deeper into that market, see kind of what is happening outside of rejections, you can click on that market within the map, and we're going to have key market insights directly in the same screen. So this will give you an overview of the Hutchinson market so you can get more information without having to go to a separate page. So we'll tell you current tender rejection rates, how that's trending. So near term, what is the market doing? Is this getting better? Is it getting worse like, Hutchinson is currently? And then we'll also break down how spot rates are moving. So rejections are increasing, spot rates are strongly increasing. I really want to make sure I have a good network or some extra markup on this if I'm taking any freight out of this market. We also will show you the volume piece. So if you already operate in this market, it's good to see if current volume levels are outside of the norm, right in line, or if they're lower than usual. Also, how they've been changing weekly and monthly. And if you're not as educated in that market or you don't operate in it a ton, we will also tell you how it ranks on an outbound and inbound perspective so you can see if this is a more head haul or back haul market and know how to adjust your cost accordingly. If you scroll back up to the very top, we also have an AI analysis. So this is going to give you an AI generated summary based off your user type. So you can select there and you'll get a quick overview paragraph for current market conditions, any significant changes, but you can also expand this further to get more in depth on those changes, any market condition drivers, as well as some actual insights tailored to your role. So this really allows you to understand the why behind the numbers and what you need to do next. All of this is available within your custom dashboards, so you can build out these pages that are more tailored to your specific needs. So if you have an enterprise login, you have access to this currently. If you have any questions or would like to talk through this further, you can reach out to us at cs@gosonar.com or your account manager. We would love to set up some additional training or answer any questions you may have. But that was it for this week's episode of WithSONAR. I hope you found this helpful. As always, if you have any requests for specific overviews you would like to see, you can leave them in the comments below. And I hope you all come and hang out with me next time. And I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Thanks.